Welcome to EPG Pathshala. We are discussing the paper English Language Teaching. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon from Department of English, VSSD College, Kanpur. And this module, Classroom Instructions and Second Language Acquisition, has been written by Dr. Anshul Chandra. Now it is said, learning a language is like a roller coaster ride filled with ups and downs. But you enjoy those ups and downs. You know while riding this roller coaster that you are going to have this sort of experience. So in learning a language, you are happy with ups and downs because finally you are going to achieve something. By the end of the module, students should be able to understand definition of classroom instruction and second language acquisition, challenges faced by teacher in second language acquisition, how mother tongue influence classroom instruction and second language acquisition, and implementation of SLA. Language is a system for communication. We use language to express our thoughts, feelings, and in a classroom, a teacher instructs students to learn a new language when they come for the very first time. A teacher can make the learning and teaching process easier and interesting by improving classroom instruction through learner-centered classroom management. An effective teaching cannot take place in a poorly managed class. Classroom management and classroom instructions are related to each other. Pollack says, classroom management is, I quote, one that runs smoothly with minimal disturbance in the learning environment of a group of individuals within a classroom setting. Classroom management and instruction are not separate but are interwoven and complex. The interwoven nature of classroom management and classroom instruction is especially easy to see from pupils' perspective. Unquote. A teacher can make the learning and teaching easier and interesting. How a teacher can make the classroom experience a lively one? He should focus the attention on the classroom management for an organized classroom to understand the concept and make the students comfortable. Research shows that instruction can have a significant effect on SLA, at least in terms of the rate of learning and long-term success. Learners seem to be able to benefit more from instructions. Now the question comes whether instructions should be in the L1 or L2. All these things we'll take later on. Now actually, acquisition is not a sudden process, but it develops step by step. One advantage of classroom instruction is that learner gets immediate feedback. So he is compelled to produce output because his mind is fully occupied and attention is focused. Now, what do we mean by classroom instructions? Who gives instruction and to whom? In the class, instructor or the teacher or the mentor is there who decides the course content. He is the one who takes care what the child is going to learn. But before that, he should be aware of the position, the current position of the child, his competency about the native language, how well he is prepared for acquiring the second language. The classroom environment plays a significant role in shaping a student's future. A positive and encouraging atmosphere enhances the learning process. Many students face a lot of problems in their learning process because they do not receive proper instructions in their class. It is the duty of teachers to make teaching consistently effective by giving proper classroom instructions. Instructions is a term used for teaching process which takes place in a classroom. It can be used at any level of teaching, whether in primary class, in a university, or students for second language learning. It bridges the gap between teachers and students and helps them understand the process of learning. It is one of the major activities of teaching process. Whenever a child is there to learn something new, even before opening his book, he looks at the teacher and expects that teacher will give him or her the instructions to follow, and then only he'll go forward. Well and Colhan describe 4 categories of models of teaching instruction: behavioral system, information processing, personal development, and social interaction that summarize the vast majority of instructional methods. According to Bala, classroom is, I quote, a room in which teaching or learning activities can take place, and it can be found in educational institutions, unquote. And instruction is a meaningful direction of learning process with proper planning and management in the classroom. Now, what are the characteristics of effective classroom instructions? It is to understand essential concepts and skills to identify the individual's requirements. It is to instruct them according to their level for the desired outcome. Use of variety of teaching methods in the classroom is there. Teachers must be in touch with current research related to core intensive instruction and latest technology, which can help them in learning. Both the teachers and the students, they should take part in learning process. Learning process should be interactive process. It should not be monolingual speech that way. It should be just the incorporation of both the parties, that is teacher and the learner. Now, what are the principles of classroom instructions? What Ralph Waldo Emerson, the famous American poet of 19th century America, what he said, I quote, "If you learn only methods, you will be tied to your methods. But if you learn principles, you can devise your own methods." It is a matter of independence. Whether you want to be just a transmitter or you want to be a creative person, it depends upon that. If you just want to be a transmitter, okay, whatever you have received from one source, you are going to just express that in front of others. So we do agree with whatever Emerson said, because teachers make learning a thinking-centered process with powerful representation. They pay attention to developmental factors and provide the instructional support. Principles of classroom instruction always support teachers to guide their students. All teachers plan, manage, deliver, and evaluate their instructions in their own way. In a class, all students are not the same, so the goals and objectives of instructions are also different for every individual. Planning is an important part of instruction. It is the process of making decisions about what lesson to teach, and how to communicate realistic expectations to learners. Practice is the most important component of instruction. A good teacher always starts lesson with few minutes review of the previous topic. Introduction of new material in the class is also a good example of effective instruction, but it should not too much at once, as it may confuse students. Asking lots of questions can also be an important factor of instruction because it helps students to connect themselves with the study. Students must be prepared for the self-practice. Teachers should give sufficient instructions so that the students can solve the problems independently without any difficulty. It is true that practice makes a man perfect, but it should be without errors. So it also a principle of an effective instruction to watch students' errors and also warn them about possible errors they are likely to make. It increases their success rate. Providing models, charts, and other learning tools, specifically the visual tools, can also help learners to solve their problems faster. Independent practices, systematic feedback, reteach materials are also important part of an effective instruction. Independent practice should be the guided practice. Now, when we talk about second language acquisition and teachers' instruction in the particular case of SLA, then we should take care that SLA is the process by which students learn a language different from their native language. Elise defines the second language acquisition as the way in which people learn a language other than their mother tongue inside or outside the classroom. According to Ortega, 2009, he said, second language acquisition is the scholarly field of inquiry that investigates the human capacity to learn language other than the first during late childhood, adolescence, or adulthood, and once the first language or languages have been acquired. What Ortega wanted to point out that when at the same time the second language is being learned along with the native language, then you are being bilingual and the concept of second language acquisition does not apply there. Alice points out again that whereas much of the earlier, that is second language acquisition, work focused on the linguistic and in particular the grammatical properties of the learner language and was psycholinguistic in orientation, now the later work in this field has also attended to the pragmatic aspects of the learner and the language and increasingly has adopted a socio-linguistic perspective. This chart makes his things clear. Ortega states that newcomers to the field of SLA might feel overwhelmed by the many arguments and data that appear to equally support and contradict various positions. Age is a controversial topic. The findings seem difficult to interpret, and many questions to understand universal age effects on L2 acquisition remain open. There are various methods to teach a second language. Popularly known as traditional method, which includes translation from first language to the second language, or the direct method where teaching is just started in the second language and emphasis is on conversation. Submersion method, where learner is surrounded by speakers of target language in social setting. Then we have immersion method. Immersion method where the use of first language is strictly restricted and a student is taught through L2 only. Audiolingual method where emphasis on speaking and listening is more other than in comparison with reading and writing. Now there are various factors that affect the SLA like age, aptitude, personality, motivation, that is intrinsic and extrinsic both, cognitive and native language. External factors like learning and teaching context, culture, and the status of the learner. What are the internal factors? And among them, age is the most important. Usually adults learn faster than children, but in case of second language, it is a popular belief that children learn it with ease. Montaigne writes, who is Montaigne? The father of essays. He said, in my infancy, I learned to speak as pure Latin as my master without art, book, grammar, whipping, or a single tear. Unquote. Children have some benefits in learning a second language as they have an awesome ability for reproducing the pronunciations. They are compared with parrots. They show naturalness than adults and feel no nervousness. The favors natural learning. They have time to become capable in second language because at that time they have got nothing else to do. Just like age, there are various other factors like aptitude and the native language. If a Dutch child can learn faster than a Japanese or Chinese child because Dutch is related to English. So if it belongs to the same group. Other factors are personality or the cognitive style, because the way in which learners process and perceive their learning is called cognitive style, and students with greater cognitive abilities can make faster progress. Motivation is again very important factor. Ellis said that it is likely that the relationship between motivation and achievement is the interactive one. A high level of motivation does stimulate learning. Conversely, a vicious circle of low motivation is equal to low achievement is equal to lower motivation can develop. Unquote. Now, there are motivation are also of two types, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation is related to a student's perception of the self, what he thinks of himself. If he lives in the lower self-esteem, then that motivation level will not come from within. A student who enjoys learning can better learn. It encourages a student's self-esteem by giving attention to his capacities. As far as intrinsic motivation is concerned, it depends upon the external factors like the job, like the home atmosphere, the peer group, and communication with the people of word and opportunity for better job. There are some more factors like salary, bonus, commission, perks, benefits that also motivate the learners to learn new things like technology and new languages. Intrinsic rewards are purpose-based like sense of choice, sense of competence, meaningfulness, or progress. So motivation from the activities and purpose is also important. Now there are some external factors like learning and teaching context and culture and status. It is observed if a student's culture and status is lower than that of the second language culture, his learning capability becomes slow. They should be encouraged to learn by their parents as well as by their teachers. Now, often we say that classroom teaching depends upon teachers. Then what is the role of teacher actually in the classroom? We have various methods of learning English, and there in some methods we say like silent method, the teacher should remain silent. Then what is he doing there? How his role is considered as important in SLA? How much the learner needs him in the classroom setting. So that are the various questions we are going to answer, that what is the role of teacher in second language acquisition. For SLA, a teacher first of all must be efficient himself. He should be active, energetic in the classroom. He should use new technology and new innovations. He should be helpful as well as hopeful. He should have patience and determination to improve teaching and learning manners. He should show an interest in the students. He should treat them well and be friendly with them. A patient, kind and responsible teacher gets success easily. So you can see that a teacher should be expert, competent, caring, humble, creative, successful, passionate, humorous, and a lifelong learner. Because you see, we feel that while teaching, you learn. Teaching is the best process of learning. So it is a practical way of learning things. Now teachers also face various challenges in their classroom of SLA. SLA is a complicated process which takes time. So common problems faced by teachers are very limited time with their students, They face learners from diverse culture and social background, design the course material according to need of the individual and time, and they feel that how to explain in a multilingual class according to need of the individual. Suppose they want to take care of the native language, they want to take help of the native language, and one child is from the Tamil background, other one is the Hindi, and one is the Gujarati or Bengali, then how will he take care of all these things and take care of the native language? That is the basic challenge faced by the teacher. What is the role of mother tongue in the classroom instruction? Because using mother tongue as a medium for instruction enhances a student's learning ability. Mother tongue based instructions have a positive attitude and perception. It promotes student involvement during classroom learning. It directly connects with improvement and achievement of the student. When a learner is given instructions in their mother tongue, his listening, reading, writing skills are increased because he feels that his understanding levels are justified. Now instructions, he has just ingrained those instructions and try to follow them. If learners cannot understand the language used in the classroom, they are unable to respond. Those who understand the classroom language develop interest in learning. Their ability to learn, write, think has greatly influenced. For overall development in individual's personality, it is important to understand the medium of instructions. If they understand the language of instructions, they learn faster because they already have good knowledge of vocabulary, linguistic construction, and pronunciation of the language. It also promotes general cognitive development that is needed for second language acquisition. There are certain factors that must be considered in implementing mother tongue based instructions for SLA. The translation is sometimes advantageous in learning through mother tongue. It is considered as the fifth language skill after LSRW. It promotes communication and understanding between two unknown people. So, for better understanding of the lesson, teachers need to translate the lesson in mother tongue in the initial stage. It is effective because most of the class is participating during discussions in the class. Translation is effective. Milliebling says that those who speak more than one language are also generally more aware of socio-linguistic variables and functions than those who speak one language, and they are adept at switching between different regional varieties, registers, and formal and informal language styles, unquote. Now, various problems faced by teachers in implementing mother tongue based instructions are also there. Milon says that literacy can only be maintained if there is an adequate supply of reading material. No wide range of words and phrases available in mother tongue. Teachers feel difficulties in teaching because they cannot tell the right word exactly equivalent of the source language. Lack of proper training of teachers is also a problem because they don't know how to tackle the students with different language background. Now, these are the problems. If there are problems, there must be solutions. What are the proposed solutions to be implemented to overcome these problems? SLA depends on input and exposure to the target language, so maximum input must be applied in language process. It should be interactive. A student should come forward and just add and interact with the peers as well as with the teachers. Sometimes teachers unconsciously repeat the same pattern, which results boredom. Task-based language should be there. Promoting listening and reading practice by lifelike conversation gives opportunity to teachers to evaluation of learners. They can correct their mistakes at the same time. So this debate about whether use of mother tongue is required or not, it is very much there all the time. It depends upon teacher to teacher which approach he prefers, which technique he evolves, what are the procedures that he takes up in the classroom according to the learners, the capability of the learner. If he starts using the method in which use of mother tongue is prohibited, then he sees blank faces. Students are not interested in learning, and they are deviating, their interests are diminishing. Then immediately he is supposed to change his methodology. He should take help of the mother tongue. He should try to make his or her students comfortable in the class, encouraged and motivated for learning, and they should come forward. By and by, gradually he can switch. He can have the mixed methodology like previously with the help of the mother tongue, and later on just directly the instructions also should be given in the SLA. So second language acquisition is basically based on mother tongue but not totally dependent on mother tongue. To help SLA, learning through technology is the best way to learn and teach also. There is no cultural and geographical boundaries, as students can connect to each other anytime, anywhere. Speech recognition software is also one of the major advantages of latest technology. It gives feedback. It can be used to improve pronunciation. In second language acquisition, we had seen that mostly students come when they have some or the other kind of motivation. That motivation can be internal or external, but with that kind of motivation, when they get the right kind of teacher who is patient, who knows his ways, who understands how to guide such a mixed ability class, then the result is success and nothing else. So keep reading, keep acquiring new languages. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.